Have you ever been watching your favorite team, say in soccer, and it's 2-0, couple minutes left, you think, I'm gonna go grab a glass of water. And you come back and out of the corner of your eye, you see a pass go through, the other team scores. Now there's 30 seconds left, the sense of urgency is there, the other team goes and they get a second goal, and pretty soon it's in overtime. Well, what happened? The sense of urgency, the team was playing to win, and your team, your favorite team, was playing not to lose.
So how about you? How do you show up in life? There's typically two ways that we face situations in our life, and we make a choice. We either play not to lose, where we're making sure that we're doing everything we can to play it safe, to safeguard ourselves, to make sure that we avoid any risk so that we won't get hurt or we won't fail. The other option is where you play to win, where you go after it with everything you have, knowing that you can't lose, knowing that everything that happens is just a way to learn and grow. This is the better way.
Right. Playing to win, we all want to win. It's losing, let's face it, it's not any fun. I don't like losing at all, at anything. So, whether it's work, especially work and or games. So, we come to work, and what does our business look like? And, what's the total market share? And we do all these things to, KPIs, and we try and keep track of it. Well, what is it really that we're trying to win?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's a mindset choice. You're trying to go as far and as fast as you can, and sometimes you're going to have failure, but you can't look at it as that. You've got to look at it, that's something you've learned, that's maybe a setback, but every time that you try something and it doesn't work, then you've just figured out something that doesn't work, and you can pick yourself up and try again. Because everything is a choice. And we're talking about concepts from my book, The Success Lie, today, and we're going to go through some exercises with you. And this first concept is really about learning that everything is a choice. Everything that you do in the course of your life, in your business, is a series of choices. And what you're doing every day and the choices that you make up your life. We're all going to go through hard times. You're going to go through challenging times in your business. But how you respond to what happens is everything, that mindset that you bring to it. One of the concepts is the mindset of optimism versus pessimism, and how do you show up? And when bad things happen, and let's face it, there's always going to be challenges in our lives, but how we respond to those challenges is what matters. And we can have a mindset of being an optimist or a pessimist. So wherever you are on this line, we've got this glasses here for those of you who are listening, where there's actually a line on this glass. And do you go through your life with a cup half full or a cup half empty mentality? Now, all of us fall somewhere on the spectrum, but we can always move that forward. We can move the needle on becoming a more optimistic person, and that is through choice. So let's talk about an exercise that we have in the book called Playing to Win. And this came from, I actually read a really great book about the concept of playing to win and how most people actually play not to lose because they just want to avoid the risk. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to fail. And that can be a typical tendency that you need to realize in yourself, and others play to win. The book, let me see if I can, it was written by Larry Wilson, and I read it a number of years ago, so it's a great little read if you wanted to pick that up. But let's talk about how that shows up in your own life. So let's ask about what circumstances in your life, if you can think about perhaps a challenge that you've gone through in your business or your personal life, and when that challenge happened, how did you show up? Did you show up with the mentality that you were going to play to win, that you were going all in and whatever happens, you were going to learn and grow? Or were you really being cautious and trying to safeguard, really playing not to lose, where you wouldn't fail, you wouldn't get hurt?
Right. It makes me think of a client who had a great little business, making a good living, was comfortable, and was on cruise control, quite frankly. And one day he woke up and there was a new competitor in town. And they had fancy new machines, fancy new trucks, fancy new everything, and it was really blingy. And he had been in business for 30 years. And he was thinking, gosh, do I even want to play? I mean, that's a choice he had to make. Do I want to compete with this? And pretty soon he's like, oh no, I'm going to play. And he decided, I'm going to play to win. I've been here, I'm entrenched. And he went out and maxed out his line of credit and bought, a couple of new trucks, hired a bunch of new employees, and bought new equipment so he could compete with the new guy. And he already had the relationships. So that's an example of playing to win, is he doubled down.
Right.
I'm already in business. I'm already successful. I could cruise off into the sunset, or you know what? The new guy, I'm going to crush you. And he did, ultimately.
Great. Well, and another example of playing to win is really about learning to shift a mindset when you've been through a difficult time. So that was a mindset shift for him to say that, you know what, I am successful. I'm confident that whatever I do here, I'm going to learn and grow. And I actually have the ability to go out and do this because he already had the client relationships and he won. But that was a shift of mindset of really boosting his confidence rather than comparing him to the other person and letting that bring him down.
Right.
So an example that I have from our facility company business, when I was growing that, we went through a number of ups and downs as we do in the business cycles. And at one time in a deep recession that we were in, when businesses dramatically changed overnight and it seemed we had clients struggling, we had our project division went down by 30%. And we actually had one of our biggest clients get shut down by the FDIC. And we were shocked by this. I mean, it just really cut us off at the knees. And we thought, wow, it was a successful client. If this can happen to them and they can go under, then what could happen to us? And there was this spirit of fear that was just going on in the business community around me. And as I talked to other business leaders, there was just this worry of what's going to happen next, what's going on in the economy, what do we do? And the whole idea became about, how do we hunker down? How do we play not to lose? How do we protect ourselves from disaster? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that and we shouldn't have plans for protection, but it can really change us into having a spirit of fear instead of one of optimism and tenacity and perseverance. And this was really highlighted for me because I too got caught up for a bit in that spirit of fear that was going on around us in business that my team had. And I remember showing up to one of our meetings, and we were really talking about how we could protect, how we could safeguard, how we would keep our business afloat. And we walked out of that meeting, and one of my managers pulled me aside and he said, Janelle, you are always the one that is the visionary that helps us take ourselves and our company to the next level. We'll follow you wherever you go. You are the one that puts the wind in our sails. But how you showed up today, you're also the one that can take it out. And wow, that was a wake-up call to me. I thought, wow, I wasn't being the optimistic leader that I needed to be. I wasn't being the example for my team to follow. And so that was a mindset shift. That was a wake-up call that I realized I was playing not to lose, that instead of playing to win. And I needed to choose that mindset of optimism.
Right. No, I think that, it's kind of like being a turtle. You put your head in there, you protect yourself, and good things can still happen. And when you poke your head out, you hope they did. But sometimes you get beat up along the way, or, an alligator comes and eats you.
Right.
So you need to be prepared.
Right. It's about having the balance for sure. Well, let's take a few minutes to walk you through some questions. And as you need to, go ahead and pause this video or audio so that you can take a few minutes and write down the answers to these questions. If you happen to be driving, don't do that. Go ahead and just be thinking about it as we're bringing up these questions. And we do encourage you to take some time in your quiet time, in your think time, which we encourage you to have on a regular basis, where you can sit with your journal, or we actually have a workbook that goes along with our Success Live book that has just blank pages that you can answer these questions. So number one is, what is your typical tendency? When you think back over your life, as you've been hearing us talking about this, is your typical tendency to play not to lose or to play to win? So take just a moment and think about that. Okay, Graham, will you go take us through number 2?
Number 2, is there an area in your life right now where you need to step out of your comfort zone and do something differently? What action could you take? So it could be at work, it could be at home, but what is it? What action do you need to take and grow? Write it down.
And this is an area too, this is a great question. If you can't think of anything, it's a really wonderful question to bring to your team and to sit down with your executive team. Or if this is for you personally, something that came up, sit down with your spouse or your family and talk about it together.
That's dangerous. I don't know about that.
Great. So finally, listen to your own voice. So as we're talking about this and you're looking at where in your life do you need to make a change? Where do you need to listen to your own voice? And maybe not the one of fear, but where you can step into optimism and step into playing to win, because everything you do is a result of the choices that you make. So is there a place where you need to really listen to your voice where you haven't been, where you've been allowing maybe outside influences, others to influence you, but you haven't really listened to your own inner voice?
So you've journaled a couple of great questions. Is there anything else you need to work on? Is there something that just really is holding you back, that you're pessimistic and you want to open up and fill up that cup a little bit more, be more optimistic? What is it that is just missing as you're journaling? Think about that.
And let's go on to talk about your mindset that goes right along with this. We talked about optimism versus pessimism. So where do you rank yourself right now as you're looking at that? Would you say that you're an optimistic person by nature, that your cup is half full and that's the way that you look at life? Or would you say that you're a pessimist by nature? What do you tend to have as your outlook?
Spill the water.
That too. So reflect back on a circumstance where this may have come up for you, that something in the last year where you went through something at work or personally that was not your desired outcome. And then we're going to take a few moments to have you journal on the following questions about that. So take a moment, think about a situation that didn't go well for you, that it wasn't the outcome that you hoped for. Pause the tape if you need to.
All right, the first question is, describe the situation in detail. Make it emotional, make it, really attach yourself to it. And then write down what your initial response was. How did you respond to it? What was your reaction to the situation? Was it positive or negative? And what would you do differently?
Good. So how did your behavior in the situation impact others? So as I shared with you, when I got caught up in a spirit of fear, when things weren't going well at a time in our business, that behavior influenced the others around me negatively. So when you had something that occurred that wasn't an outcome that you wanted, what were your behaviors and how did they impact those around you?
It's amazing how our own mindset impacts everybody around us, whether we realize it or not. So we have to be careful.
Everything that we do either can lift others up or bring them down.
Right.
So being aware of that. So did your actions elicit a positive response or a negative response in others? Very important. Put that mirror up.
So now, did this not only do that in others, but what was your response for yourself? Was it a positive response, a negative response? And how did it impact you? Were you negatively impacted? Did you grow and learn from it? Or did you respond positively and it really was just a booming, great experience, which is possible as well?
Right, good. And then whatever happened, what would you choose to do differently? What would you do differently next time? And this is the game changer. When you take a time to do lessons learned on a behavior that maybe wasn't the behavior that you wanted to exhibit, that you want to do something different, think about that now. When this potentially may happen, how are you going to respond to the situation? And when you think about that ahead of time, it can make such a difference in how you show up.
Right. I think if you have a contingency plan for work, contingency plan, for instance, you want a bunch of water and rice around the house in case, the world ends. And so, what is your contingency plan? If you don't respond in the way you want to.
Well, good. So Remember that everything is your choice, no matter what circumstances you face. You can't always choose those circumstances, but you can always choose your response to them. And you can choose to have a mindset where you're playing to win versus playing to lose. And if you have that kind of mindset, that's one that's going to be filled with optimism, where you're going to elicit positive responses, not only in yourself, but in those around you. And it'll really make a difference in your life.
And check out video number 2. We're going through the next chapter.
Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop, to really help you grow in your leadership and level up your life and your mindset.
Watch one of these other videos, share with a friend, and don't forget, download the PDF from today's topic so that you can make sure to hold yourself accountable and take that action plan and use it.
Have a great day.